Killer Instinct. One of the many games of 2013 that I cannot wait to play, and pretty much the sole reason I'm even considering buying an Xbox One. The game is just that powerful. But you might be a tad confused as to why I'm so excited about KI in the first place. I've hardly ever talked about the franchise on my channel, and even then, I haven't sung its praises. Well, I've always had the intention to, but I wanted to wait for the perfect time to do so. And now that we're a little over a month away from a new KI being released, it is definitely the perfect time. Now, sit back and listen as I start things off by telling you my experience with the KI franchise, a story that spans nearly 15 years. I was 4 years old and the year was 1999. The Super Nintendo was my only console, but I managed just fine with games like Super Mario World, Star Fox, and Donkey Kong Country, to name a few. My oldest brother had a game in his collection that I had never seen before, because the cartridge wasn't your run-of-the-mill gray color. No, it was a sleek black. One night he decided to play it, and me and my little brother just happened to be there with him. And just from this game's intro alone, I knew I was in for something vastly different than from what I was used to. And it scared the crap out of me. I actually went over that fact in my 6 Scary Things in Rare Games video, but looking back, I think I could have explained why it scared me a lot better than I did. Nearly everything about Killer Instinct gave off an intimidating and dark vibe. I think we can all agree that those two factors are what separated KI from most other fighting games at the time. From the box art, to the story, to the characters especially. The amount of detail these character models had were something I found unnervingly impressive, because I was used to playing games with flat, brightly colored, happy-go-lucky 2D protagonists, and characters like Fulgore, Saberwolf, Spinal, and Riptor looked all too real to me. One of the very first nightmares I can ever recall having was actually based around KI. I don't remember the dream itself, although I do know that Saberwolf was a part of it, and I'm pretty sure I died. Yeah, that was not pleasant. But even though this game freaked me out back then, I also found it unbelievably awesome. And as time went by, my love for this game grew. Probably one of my favorite parts about the game was the announcer. The amount of hype that man has in his voice just brought a whole new level of excitement to a fight. And I remember waiting for my brother to pull off an ultra combo so I could always join in with the announcer's famous phrase. So that's my KI story, and you would think a game that made that much of an impact on me would be something I would never forget, right? Surprisingly enough, I did forget about it for a while. Around the time I got my PS2, my oldest brother ended up giving away the Super Nintendo to a third world country along with most of the games, KI being one of the many games in that donation. He didn't get Yoshi's Island though, thank God. After a while, I nearly forgot everything about the game, save for some very faint memories in the back of my head, but if the game ever did come across me again, it would all just come flooding back. I just knew. And thanks to the internet many years down the road, I was reacquainted with the first game, introduced to its arcade counterpart and its sequel, and above all else, I really wanted to see a next-gen reboot because of the potential it held. But after doing some research, I then realized that that was very likely to never, ever happen. So you can just imagine what my reaction was when a new Killer Instinct game was announced at Microsoft's E3 conference this year.
Xbox One! Jago!
Oh my God!
Glacius!
Oh my Lord! Yeah! Saberwolf! Oh my God! You hear that music?
Killer Instinct!
What?
I really couldn't believe it. After years of teasing about it in rare games and Christmas cards and the denials of there ever being a sequel one day, a million gamers' dreams had come true. Killer Instinct was finally back, and as you just heard, I was excited. Then that excitement quickly turned into skepticism after I heard that Rare wasn't directly working on the game. And yet, I still would have been skeptic if they were, given the fact that none of the original Rare team is still at the company, save for 1 or 2 people. But that's not enough to make a game now, is it? It wasn't until I came across a YouTuber called Maximillian that I was able to put most of my worries to rest. If you ever wanted to know absolutely everything about the new KI, he is your your go-to guy. He also reassured me about Double Helix as the development team. While their track record isn't all that great, what is great about them is their passion for KI and fighting games in general. Either they have guys on the team that worked on fighters in the past, or they played them right in the arcade when they were kids. These guys are really striving to make this game the best it can be, and it really shows. With each new build I see of this game, I only get more and more impressed. And to prove it to you, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this game so far in the style of a professional review. First off, presentation. Presentation is arguably the most important aspect about KI, as it's something that got many people playing it in the first place. From a graphical standpoint, this game looks unbelievably fantastic. I had the opportunity to play this game at Fan Expo Canada this year, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. You have got to see this game in person. YouTube videos don't do this game complete justice. There's a ridiculous amount of detail in this game, and it's a marvel to behold. One of the best examples I can think of is the rain on Chief Thunder's stage. When it starts getting heavy, it gives off this white glow on the characters and the background that looks so beautiful at 60 frames per second, I almost had to stop playing just to stare at it. Music-wise, this game doesn't disappoint either, which is good because KI has one of the most iconic soundtracks in all of gaming. And new composer Mick Gordon, aka not Robin Beanland, probably had quite the undertaking to make the new tracks live up to the KI name. Mick, you're doing an amazing job so far, and if I ever meet you in person, and if you allow it, I'll give you a hug. And if you guys have your doubts, Mick Gordon not only loves the old soundtracks, but he grew up on that stuff, saying himself in an interview that it defined his childhood. You couldn't have gotten a better person to do this soundtrack, save for Robin himself, who, by the way, also likes what he's heard from Mick. So overall, this game nails presentation just fine. Secondly, gameplay and game feel. If I had to describe the gameplay in 3 words or less, those words would be highly addicting. I spent a good chunk of my time at Fan Expo at the Xbox booth, and after I was done playing a match, I immediately wanted to play again. This game also feels very KI, by which I mean dark, and I really wouldn't want it any other way. It's actually turning out to be the darkest installment in the series. This time around, Saberwolf has gone completely mental since the events of KI 2. He ripped out his cybernetic arms, created new ones through alchemical processes, and to ease his suffering, he took painkillers to the point of addiction, and all the while desperately trying to regain his humanity. Thunder, on the other hand, is the most intimidating character I've seen so far, with his tall, looming stature and eyes that say, "I've been through a lot of crap." Though you can make him seem less intimidating once you realize that his face paint kinda makes him look like poultry and he sounds a lot like Mumbo Jumbo from Banjo-Kazooie. You're welcome. So yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff I like about this game. However, there are a few things that don't sit right with me. I'm kinda disappointed that there's only gonna be 6 characters at launch, although I understand why. But what I really don't like is the fact that as of right now, this game is a digital-only release. So I can't buy just the game and wait till one of my friends gets an Xbone so I can play it on that. If I want KI, I need to buy an Xbone and download the game. Couple that with the console's $500 price tag and the fact that KI is pretty much the only game I can see myself playing on Microsoft's new console, and I got myself a problem. But to conclude, and if I haven't already made myself completely clear, I cannot wait for this game. The fact that I'm sitting here talking about a brand new game of a franchise I was sure was dead less than a year ago is just baffling. I most likely won't be getting the game until late next year when more characters are released, and hopefully I can get it in a physical format. I want to be able to place it right beside my Super Nintendo cartridge, because that would be perfect. If you guys want to know more about this game, be sure to check the links in the description. Now if you'll excuse me, I gotta go brush up on my fighting game skills, because if I ever want to pull off an ultra combo, I better learn how to get moderately good at the genre in general. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time.